not just because like you have gone to good institutions, but it's also like the diversity of experiences you have had.
It could be like engineering, it could be like, YouTube content creation, it could be like startups. I've seen like a lot of people are like just driven, they want to do something.
और इस वीडियो का टारगेट रखते हैं कि व्हेन आई पब्लिश दिस वीडियो, आफ्टर दिस वीडियो लेट्स गेट लाइक 20 सब्सक्राइबर्स. ज़्यादा नहीं चाहिए, जीने के लिए ज़्यादा नहीं चाहिए, कम में काम चलाएंगे. लेट्स रीच 620 सब्सक्राइबर्स आफ्टर दिस वीडियो कम्स. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And I know I'm back. I'm uploading a video after almost a year, but I promise you, आगे से I'll try to be as consistent as possible, and I'll try to upload week में एक वीडियो कम से कम आ जाए. But today I have like a very, very special guest for you. This guest, he has gone to IIT. He has also gone to MIT. He has been a management consultant, but at the same time, he has also been a product manager. Not just that, he has also run a factory in operations. He has done some projects in a manufacturing facility back in India. And more importantly, he is a very, very good friend of mine, and we know each other from our IIT Kharagpur days. So it's like more than 10 years. So with that note, I know there are so many achievements कि मैं बताने जाऊंगा तो it will take the entire interview. So let me not waste any time. Welcome Nithin to our show.
Hello everyone.
Very happy
Thanks
to
for
have you
the
here. And many people would be thinking ki, what is this show? So this is definitely a show, but I have not named it yet. So please go into the comment
unnamed
section.
show.
The unnamed show. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. So please go to the comment section. Let me know what should I name this show. You can also go to my Instagram handle, which is music_Ranjan. तो लेट नहीं करते हैं. Nitin, and I call you प्यार से Reddy. So Reddy, let's get started. Sure. And like you are the opening batsman for the second innings. So
I hope I'll play very well.
yeah, lot of pressure. So Nitin, give me like a 2-minute version of your career, like starting from your 10th standard to what you're doing right now. Give me like a brief version of that.
Definitely. So basically, I'm from Hyderabad. So that's where I've done like all of my schooling, like just around like Hyderabad. And since then, like I was very interested in like cars, aeroplanes, all this like engineering type of stuff. So wanted to become an engineer. And then I joined IIT Kharagpur, and then I joined ITC along with you. So then we did like a lot of things during ITC, like working in like a snacks factory, working in like a noodles factory, setting up a factory from scratch. All of that was like great. But then somewhere I felt like, hey, like I want to do like more engineering, more research, and that kind of stuff. So came to the US, did masters, did PhD, did a lot of research for like 6 years. And still I'm interested in like engineering, but then after finishing my PhD, I took a little bit of turn and joined McKinsey. It's a management consulting firm, with an interest like learn more about like business, more about like how organizations take decisions. Even during my PhD, I've started to do something like building a venture. So got a little bit of experience while doing that, but wanted to do it formally. So joined a management consulting firm. So then I loved it. So loved working with clients on business related topics. And then after 2 years, I transitioned to another company. So now I'm part of like more of a technology organization. So I work with my team in developing strategy for the technology organization. I don't do like any hardcore engineering, but also like work with like engineers, data scientists, but more on like developing strategies. So that's where I am right now.
Wow, that's a lot, and like that's anything short of impressive. Like I am so amazed, not just because like you have gone to good institutions, but it's also like the diversity of experiences you have had. So you have done management consulting, which is like like very business focused, and also like very client focused. So you need to have those personalities in yourself, so that you can handle the clients, you can handle the partners, and at the same time apply some of the frameworks and like solve business challenges. And at the same time, you have also been very deep into research while at MIT or at Penn State. So just the diversity amazes me a lot. Where I want you to focus a bit more is if you could briefly tell me about, because Hyderabad recently has been getting some bad name regarding like the
Because of
amount of
what?
rigor, like that students have to go through for IIT JEE preparation. Was it same during your time, and like where did you prepare from, and how was that? Tell me about the 2 years of preparation that you did in Hyderabad.
Yeah, so definitely, like, I think things have changed now over the past few years. But at my time, there were only like couple of like brand names where a lot of students would or their parents would like to send their kids because of like just the intensity of like preparation that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have heard these names like Narayana, Cheat,
Yeah.
Sri Chaitanya, and Ramaya. So I think these three were like popular brands back then, and I joined Ramaya.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be like kind of different than what a lot of people like go through. So I used to have like classes in the evening, like from 4 to like 7 or 4 to like 8 sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
that just used to be like the teaching. So rest of the time is like self preparation,
Mm-hmm.
staying at home or like going to college and like studying there just by yourself. So there is no teaching. So that I did for like 2 years. But I think
Was it
maybe I
was
should
it
have
residential, or was it like you were
no
at your home?
just staying at home and you go. So I used to go to this place in an auto, so just from like home
Mm-hmm.
and then come back. But reflecting those years now, maybe I should have joined a hostel because I would have been like more productive, because at home I didn't have any like oversight. Both my parents work. So I used to like watch TV and do a lot of other things where I should have like focused.
What was your focus in IIT Kharagpur? Like, tell me about some of the things that you loved, and uh, from all the perspectives, like academic, non-academic, whatever you want to share about your IIT Kharagpur life.
Yeah, yes, definitely. So I was part of the mechanical engineering department. That's where we met.
Yeah,
But what I love the most about Kharagpur culture is the hostel culture. And for 3 years at least, you're fixed like one hostel. So you have your friends, you are living with them like or for almost 24 hours of the day
yeah.
in the same hostel. So I think you develop like a strong bond there. Even today, like I talk to like a lot of my hostel mates, my wing mates on a daily basis. Like it's so that bond has stayed still strong. So that's something which I liked a lot. And the second thing is like a lot of people are driven.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we went there wanting to do engineering, people want to do something like it
Yeah.
could be like engineering, it could be like YouTube content creation, it could be like startups. I've seen like a lot of people are like just driven, they want to do something. And it's something which I've again seen in MIT. So it's the same culture I've seen here where people want to do something. They just want to do something. So that I liked a lot. And the third is a lot of things we have done during those 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Could be like engineering or like hardware modeling, kind of like hall competitions, games, trips. I think it was fun, which I wouldn't imagine I would have done if I went to college, staying at home in Hyderabad or like any other places. So these three things, I think, um, are the top ones which I like.
Yeah, and since I know you, I know that after IIT Kharagpur, you went to ITC in the foods division. We were together, and then you left ITC in 1 year, and then you went to do PhD. So when did the PhD ka so-called Kira came into you? Like, was it? Did you decide doing a PhD when you were in IIT Kharagpur, or like how? Take me through that decision process that you had.
Yeah, so initially I didn't think of like PhD. I
Mm-hmm.
thought of like just a master's or like some, short higher studies, because PhD is like long-term commitment, right? So I didn't have the courage to like go through that. So I think maybe around like third year in Kharagpur, that's where I thought like, okay, I should maybe I can do like more like higher studies, more research. So I was doing some research with like the professors in our department, and I could see like more senior people like doing some cool stuff, so which I also like wanted to do. So I did some, but obviously the time ran out, and so after like 4 years also, maybe I thought like, okay, I'll go to the US. Maybe I'll do some more cooler stuff in the labs here, right? So that's where I started thinking about it.
Got it. tell me about the economics of MS as well as PhD, like people who want to do MS PhD, let's say from MIT or even from other colleges. If you could tell me like how much it costs, how much grant or like stipend you get, how much is the living cost, if you could take me through that, that would be very helpful for the viewers.
Yes, definitely. So we can talk about the US scenario.
Mhm.
So MS is typically like 2 years, and I've known people who finished in like 3 semesters, which is like 1.5 year.
Mhm.
So for the cost. So let's talk about the cost. But the cost will vary depending on like where that university is, whether it's like a private or a public university. So we can give like a range. So the cost could be just the tuition cost could be around like maybe per year around like 30-40 thousand, but
Dollars.
depending on like 30-40 thousand dollars US dollars. But depending on where that college is, whether it's a public or private, maybe the range, if it's a smaller or a bigger, the range could be like broader, like say 10,000 US dollars all the way up to like 50,000 US dollars if it's like California kind of like university. So there's a big range.
That's per year or per
This
semester?
is this is per year.
Per year.
So for 2 years, you can double it, right? So it could be like, as small as like $20,000, or it could be like $100,000. And
Mhm.
also depends on the program. Like, some of the business or MBA kind of programs, they go up to like 150 and more, right? So they could be like even costlier. So there's a big range.
Mhm.
But maybe like if we average out maybe around like, $40,000 per
Got
year
it.
for
Does that
2 year program.
that got it? Does that include the living cost as well, or was that just the tuition?
No, just the tuition which we pay to the university. So the living cost again, like it depends on like where you are living. So I can give you like my example. So in Boston, so my per month expenses would be around like around like close to like 1,500. So for
Mhm.
12 months, it's like 15,000, 18,000 for 2 years, 36,000, right? So around like $36,000 in a Boston kind of city. But if
Mhm.
you go to like some suburban kind of college, your rent goes down, your other expenses goes down. Maybe you can like go 50% lower to that too. So, um, but to ballpark, maybe we can take like for 2 years, 40,000 in tuition fee, $40,000 in tuition fee, and maybe around like 30-40 thousand dollars in living expenses.
$80,000 kind of average.
Kind of average. And if you do your research well, if you find like a public university, like for example Texas A&M, I
Mhm.
know like the from my friends that the tuition fee is like lower, and also just based on like the location, the living costs are lower. So maybe that $80,000 will like come down even lower if you do your research well.
What about the like financial aid or any scholarship that you get?
Yeah. So in my case, I got it like, fully funded, like even before like, I mean, that's the reason I accepted the offer. Otherwise, like,
Mhm.
so I was thinking like I'll wait for like some more time. So
Mhm.
I got like the tuition fee waived and also like got per month stipend. So
Mhm.
in that case, they'll pay all of your tuition fee. And also you'll get some stipend like $2,000 to $3,000 depending on like what the where the university is. So
Mhm.
this money like will definitely cover your living expenses,
Yeah.
even your leisure, like entertainment, all of that. So if you get that kind of a funding, I think you're all set. And the
Mhm.
second is, so
Mhm.
sometimes you'll have to like come here, look for like funding, stipend, that kind of a thing. So I've known like people who have done this. So in those situations, sometimes your tuition fee is also waived if you get like a full research assistantship.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get partial assistantship. That means your 50% tuition fee is like gone, and
Mhm.
you could also get like a stipend. So if it's like a full assistantship, then you'll get again $2,000 to $3,000, which will cover everything.
That is
Or
per
if you
month,
get
right?
per month,
Yeah.
per month. And if you get a partial thing, then you get half of it, so it'll cover some of the expenses.
Hmm.
And
Makes
the
sense.
third option is if you don't get stipend, then you can do some on-campus jobs depending on like the policies. So a lot of people like work within the campus. So that you have to pay your tuition fee, but you get some per hour dollars. So depending on like, how much you are able to work, you can substitute some of your expenses.
Nice, nice. Understood. So I mean, for you, it of course was a no-brainer because paisa mil hi raha hai. It's not like the expenses are covered, the tuition is covered, so it's nothing that you need to worry about. It's only the research that you need to worry about. Totally makes sense. And could you also take me through like what the application process is? And a few questions there, like do people apply for just masters or do they have to apply for masters plus PhD? That is one. Second is what do the universities look for? Like what is given the utmost importance? Like let's say if someone has not done any research work back in their undergrad, how do they navigate that? So if you could tackle these two questions.
Definitely. So I think the first one about like whether people apply for like masters or PhD plus masters or just PhD. Um, I think not many people are like very sure that they want to do PhD because it's like a long 5-6 years commitment, right? So if you have that commitment, it's great. I've seen some people have it. They're very driven to do a PhD, and they have applied for a direct PhD program. So some universities or many universities have that. You can directly apply for a PhD, and along the way you can get a master's if you want, or do the PhD at like one shot. So that will save some time because now we are not doing like 2 degrees one by one, right?
Yeah.
But you need to have a lot of commitment to do that, and the people who are applying are
Commitment,
also like,
as in commitment in the sense of the area that you want to go, the college that you want to go, or just about that you need to spend 5-7 years? Like
I
what?
think all three, like like 5-6 years of like doing the same thing before even like starting to doing is like, it's something which you need to like really think through. So it's a big commitment. So that's what I'm trying to say. But people do it. So it depends on like person to person. And the second thing is, a lot of people just want to do masters. So it's very clear. I don't want to do PhD. I just want to do 2 years. So they apply for like masters. And some people are in between. So like I was in between. I didn't know like if I want to do a PhD, but I was like fine with it. So I applied for masters and I thought, okay, once I finish masters, if I like it, I'll do PhD. If I don't like it, I'll look for a job. So that was my thinking. So I applied for only masters. And what they look for, it's basically there are like 3 components in your application. One is like a CV summary or a resume, which they look at. And the second is your statement of purpose. Some universities ask for like statement of purpose, personal statement. So all of these are like just 1-2 page write-ups on like why you want to do this, why you want to join, your background and all of that. So that's a key component. And the third is like your academics, your GPA, your percentage, your projects you have done, the recommendation letters and all of that into that bucket. So basically all universities like ask for like these three. And then there are like other formality kind of GRE, TOEFL, and after like COVID, I think universities also waived off some of those requirements. But the earlier three, they stand. And your last question on what if somebody doesn't have experience? I think so. Generally, in 4 years bachelor's, if you're doing it in India, it's not very common that a lot of people will have project experience. I think it's fine. And even the universities here know that our courses are like more course intensive kind of like studies. But what you can still do is like do something as a hobby. So if, for example, if you're in computer science, there are so many examples on GitHub which you can just look at, like try to like build something on it so that you do like a hobby kind of project. So your goal should be to like show that, hey, I'm interested in this, right? So whether you do it with a professor, whether you do it on your own, it doesn't matter. But you can show some evidence that, hey, I can do research projects. I have done something. This is my interest. Um, I think all of that can be done even if you don't have like actual project experience in your university.
And I think like if you lack in some of the fields, for example, let's say your GPA is not good or your college is not tier 1, tier 2, then it becomes all the more important that you showcase that you have interest in the research fields and like you do some projects on the side or with some professors. so that you can like cover that gap, is what my understanding is.
Exactly. Like if you know that okay, my project area is weak, then show something else. Like highlight something else. And talk to your recommenders and tell them like, hey, this is my gap. Like, can you please highlight, some of my strengths, so that overall you're showing like, all sides of your application, right?
Correct.
So I think that
Do
is important.
do people use consultants to help them like draft or think through their statement of purpose? Because in MBA, like many people do, but is that also the trend in PhD or masters or no?
No, I think I have seen more of this in like MBA
Mhm.
applications, but not in like masters or like PhD. I
Okay.
think the reason is maybe like the importance of like the essays is not like very high, because in MBA, I mean, you don't have like projects or anything, right, apart from your like work experience. So
Mhm.
probably the importance is like more. But in masters, I haven't, or even like PhD, I haven't seen people using that, but they could be like.
Got it. And like, could you talk about masters as well as PhD from job perspective? Like, is it doing PhD, does it make more easy for me to get a job, or like even after masters people can get a job? If from the job perspective you can give a sense.
Yeah, definitely. So I think in my perspective, masters will open up the maximum amount of opportunities. Like if you have a master's degree, I think
Mhm.
you have like a lot of options available. But once you do a PhD, I think your number of options will shrink. So you'll have like fewer options,
Mhm.
but you will have a higher chance in like more like positions requiring more experience in certain areas. Like if I'm doing a PhD in like robotics.
Yeah.
So like somebody looking for like some experienced scientist or an engineer working in a robotics area, right? So that's where like I'll fit more. So
Yeah.
there, I think I'll have an advantage having a PhD. But
Mhm.
overall, I don't think there's an advantage, like broadly speaking, because masters will open up all those other options, right? But unless if I want like more specialized role,
Mhm.
so there, I think the PhD will definitely help, like a research position, postdoc position, senior engineer, senior researcher,
Mhm.
all those kinds of like positions. I think
Yeah.
PhDs will.
And I mean, makes sense. Like you do PhD not just to optimize for job, because that's not what you're looking for. It's more
Exactly.
about the interest to explore a certain area, a certain field.
So
So
you're like going deep in like one specific area, right? So
yeah,
that's the expectation there.
yeah, makes sense. And have you heard of LE5, ELI5?
LE5, no, what is that?
It means explain it like I'm a 5-year-old. So I'm the next question. Please give a LE5 version answer. The question is आसान भाषा में समझाओ भाई कि what was
Uh-huh.
your PhD topic? Like what did you go deep into?
Exactly. I'll do. So you're the 5-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So if you look around you, so a
Mhm.
lot of things are like talking to each other. Your phone
Mhm.
talks to internet, my phone talks to your phone,
Yeah.
computer talks to internet, my phone talks to computer. So a lot of these talk to each other.
Mhm.
But you also need to plug in a charger, right? So they need some power. So you have to charge them every day. So that's how they work. So
Right.
my research was building like things which talk to each other,
Mhm.
but do not require this charger. So
Wow.
that means building things, like making things, researching things, which can talk to each other, talk to the internet, using less power, so that I don't require to plug in into the charger. And
Got it.
how I have done it is like, building some new techniques, building some materials
Mhm.
to enable this talking, as well as getting energy, because even if you're not putting charger, somehow it needs energy, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was building things to generate that energy
Mhm.
and make things talk without needing a charger. I
Wow.
hope the 5-year-old kid
Yeah, yeah.
understands.
The 5-year-old kid does definitely understands it, but the 30-year-old Sangeet wants to go deeper. But I'll put that on a pause for some other day.
Okay.
Uh, the next area that I want to get into is I have seen many people, not many, like there are a few people who do get into like academic professions. Either they do postdoc or they try to get assistant professor job. How difficult is that to do? And like from your perspective, how did you think about that versus going to management consulting where you actually went?
Yes. So I think regarding how difficult it is, I think these days it's very competitive because there are like a lot of graduates in the US coming out with like a PhD degree, but there are like very fewer options. And within those fewer options, there are far fewer options in like a good university. Like if you want in like the top university where there are more research projects, good students, lot of funding, it's very difficult. So I would say like it's very tough. So that's why like people spend years, like they try once, they don't get it, so they try next year. So they spend years doing like a postdoc kind of like research, keep trying to get those positions, right? So getting that faculty job straight out of like the PhD degree is difficult. But if you like, approach it slowly, like you find a postdoc position in a good lab, do more work, prove your research, create impact, and then keep applying for positions, I think there could be like more success rate. And a lot of people also like use postdoc as like a stepping stone. So they don't know if they want to become faculty. So they'll try like a postdoc position and then go into industry or do something else. So that is also there. So getting a postdoc is a little difficult. Like like if you want to go to a lab where you like the people, the lab is famous, and also that way it's a little difficult. But if you want any other postdoc, it's like easy. I mean, relatively. That is one route. And I approached it in a way like I was not sure if I want to become like a professor. So in that confusion state, I thought it's not a good idea.
Got it. So talk about your switch to management consulting. And like even before that, let me ask this one. So as I understand the entire PhD career path,
Yes.
I was very clear that I don't want to do PhD. And the reason is that I know I cannot do something very consistently, which is very evident by the number of videos that I have put in last 1 year. So my
Right.
viewers know that. So I think like resilience and consistency is one of the key attributes that someone needs to have if they want to do PhD. So on that track, who should not do a PhD? Like what is the kind of person who should not do PhD from your perspective?
I think somebody who is obviously not very sure that they want to be able to work on a topic for like 4, 5, 6 years. So
Mhm.
if they are not sure, I think I think it's a good idea for them to like take some time before like deciding they want to do a PhD, and probably like they should not do a PhD, because I think that's going to be like very critical.
Mhm.
Because one of the expectations in the PhD is like you develop like a new science, a new process, a new technology, or something new. So that means you understand whatever is existing very thoroughly. So
Mhm.
it takes couple of years, and you work on like building something new, so it takes more couple of more years. So it's a long journey. But if you don't have that strong interest, then it's difficult to get reach that. And also you'll get frustrated because whatever you think somebody might have done it, whatever you do might not like work. So it's not like easy path, so you get frustrated. So I think you need to have that mentality to like take those failures, take those disappointments, but still keep working. So I think that the drive is what I'm talking about. That interest and that drive, if you don't have, then I think it's not a good idea to do PhD.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And one last question before I get into management consulting thing. So we see that there's so many Nobel laureates from MIT, where you did your PhD from, or from Stanford, where I did my MBA from. What is lacking in Indian colleges, and not just IITs, but in general? Like we have ISC, we have TIFR. So overall, like what is lacking in academic institutions in India that they need, that like that they can do better, so that we have more chances of like getting not just Nobel prizes, but like getting good research outputs like worldwide. So what should IITs or similar colleges change?
Yeah. So this is a very, it's a hard question, and also it's a very important question, an interesting question for us. I think one difference I've seen comparing here versus like what I went through in India is here, like at least in many places, it's more experience driven. Like a lot of my classmates at MIT, they're like very good at like hands-on stuff. like, because they have done it since they're like, high school. So anything like working with robots, programming, and everything, they have started at like a very early age, and they learned it by doing. We used to run like boot camps at MIT, and there used to be like kids who are just in high school, and they used to come and like work on some autonomous driving kind of projects, and they used to ask questions, which I only started, doing some hands-on thing after coming here. So you see that gap in terms of where they started doing and like where we started doing. Probably in India right now, it's like picking up, but definitely not when we were doing. So I think at that time, like having your own laptop in Kharagpur itself was like, it's not 100%, not 100% of the students had, right? So I think there is that gap in like that, how we were used to like learning and how people here like learn. And the second one, I think it's the opportunities. um so here, like there are a lot of industries, a lot of startups, they give internships, they provide funding. At MIT, I have seen like some, it's the best institution in the world, so all the projects were like, top class, with a lot of focus, a lot of attention, a lot of money. I think in India, that's not there, right? So people still struggle to like get money for their projects. Even then, there's budget constraints, so you can't do like lot of things there. So there is that funding and sponsorship kind of problem. And the third, I think, is talent. Like, a lot of bright students like you, like come here, get opportunities in like Stanford, work for like top companies. So I think so it's not staying within India, like the talent and the innovation, it's not just staying within India, and it's like it's leaking out, right? So in that scenario, like, me getting like a prize like, Nobel, then the chances will reduce.
Yeah, and like both of us have like right now left India, come here for our job, for our academics. So it may sound a bit hypocritical, but I mean the facts are facts, and we can discuss that in
Yeah.
detail anytime later. So totally understand that. Taking a brief pause here, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, or so please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like the video. I think I am at 594 subscribers right now, and I assure you that I will be very consistent. So please go ahead and subscribe. और इस वीडियो का टारगेट रखते हैं कि when I publish this video, after this video, let's get like 20 subscribers. ज़्यादा नहीं चाहिए, जीने के लिए ज़्यादा नहीं चाहिए, कम में काम चलाएंगे. Let's reach 620 subscribers after this video comes. Okay, coming back to Nithin.
But one shameless plug in there. So
Yeah.
I'll also like put my link to my channel, which I just started doing. So I want to like promote mine.
Yeah, for sure. What is the channel about?
I haven't like thought through, but I'm really interested in like doing something. So I'm going to name it as like bits and pieces of everything.
Perfect. Cool. Please feel free. I will put it in the description. Please check out.